Hello students, I'm Neha Kapoor, your class 9 science teacher. Today we begin chapter 12, Improvement in Food Resources. Let's quickly explore how science helps us grow better and more nutritious food. Let's get started.
All right, let's talk about one of the biggest challenges on the planet. Our population is just booming, and it begs the question, how in the world are we going to feed everyone? The answer isn't simple, but wow, is it fascinating. So let's just dive right in.
It feels like the most obvious answer, or doesn't it? More people, more food. So just, plant more crops. But here's the thing. It's not that simple. We've got a major problem.
And that right there is the heart of the issue. We've got this ever-expanding population, but the amount of land we can actually farm is, well, fixed. A lot of the best farmland has been in use for centuries. We've kind of hit a physical limit. We can't just keep paving over nature to create new fields.
To really get your head around this, just look at a country like India. It's already home to over 1 billion people, and that number is still climbing. Feeding a population that massive takes a staggering amount of food, and they simply don't have any more land to turn into farms. So the solution can't be about making our farms bigger. It has to be about making our farming smarter.
So where do we start? Well, the first piece of the puzzle is all about redesigning the crops themselves. Yeah, I'm talking about getting down to the genetic level to create plants that are just fundamentally better at their job.
And listen, this isn't some far-off theory. It's already happened. Back in India, between the 50s and 2010, food grain production quadrupled. Think about that, 4 times the food. And get this, the amount of land being farmed only went up by about 25%. So how is that even possible?
One of the key tools in the toolbox is something called hybridization. Basically, you have scientists acting like professional plant matchmakers. They take 2 totally different plants and crossbreed them, hoping to get the best traits from both parents into one single superior kid. It's like creating a plant's greatest hits album.
So what exactly are these best traits they're looking for? Well, of course, higher yield is the big one. You want to get more food out of the same patch of dirt. But it's about so much more than just quantity. It's about quality too, like creating wheat that makes better bread. And it's about making plants tougher. They breathe for abiotic resistance, which means the plant can naturally fight off bugs and diseases, and abiotic resistance, so it can handle things like drought or a sudden frost. They even breed for speed, creating crops that grow faster so farmers can squeeze in 2 or even 3 harvests in a single year. It's a full-on strategy to build the perfect plant.
Okay, so you've built this incredible super crop, but that's only half the story. You also have to grow it in a super smart way, and that means we need to talk about how we actually take care of the crop in the field.
A huge piece of this is managing what the plants eat, and farmers basically have 2 main choices: good old-fashioned manure or modern chemical fertilizers. Manure is amazing for the long-term health of the soil. It adds organic matter, it helps the soil hold water, and it's a great way to recycle farm waste. Fertilizers, on the other hand, are like a targeted energy shot. They deliver a powerful dose of specific nutrients like nitrogen. The downside? They're expensive, and if you use too much, they can pollute water and actually damage the soil over time. So it's this constant balancing act for farmers.
And this is such a cool example of another smart practice. It's called intercropping. Instead of planting a giant field of just one thing, farmers mix it up and plant different crops right next to each other in a specific pattern. The idea is to pick plants that help each other out. Maybe their nutrient needs are different so they're not competing. It also makes it way harder for a single pest or disease to just wipe out the entire field.
And that same idea doesn't just work in space. It also works over time. That's where crop rotation comes in. You grow different crops on the same land, but in a planned sequence, season after season. Maybe one crop takes a lot of nitrogen out of the soil, so the next season you plant a crop that actually puts nitrogen back in. You're working with nature's cycles to keep the soil healthy and fertile, which is just brilliant.
All right, so we've got a better crop, and we're growing it in smarter ways. But we're not done yet. There's one more absolutely crucial step. You have to protect what you've grown. An unbelievable amount of food is lost every single year before it even leaves the farm.
The crops are basically under a constant 3-pronged attack. First, you've got weeds, these little thieves that steal water, sunlight, and nutrients from your actual crops. Then you have the insect pests. They're the ones chewing on leaves, cutting roots, boring into the fruit, just causing all kinds of damage. And finally, you've got diseases, caused by tiny invaders like bacteria, fungi, and viruses. For a farmer, it is a never-ending battle against these 3 threats.
So we've spent all this time on plants, but that's only half of what's on our plates, right?
To really understand how we're going to feed everyone, we have to look at the other half of the equation, animal farming. And you're going to see that a lot of the same ideas that focus on science and efficiency apply here too.
The whole science behind this is called animal husbandry. And it's not just, having some cows in a field. It's the scientific management of everything, their food, their breeding, their health, all to produce milk, meat, and eggs as efficiently and humanely as possible.
And just like with plants, crossbreeding is a total game changer. Take chickens, for example. On one hand, you've got a local Indian breed, the Asil. It's super tough and really resistant to local diseases. On the other hand, you've got the Leghorn, which is famous for laying an incredible number of eggs. So what do? You crossbreed them. The result is a new kind of chicken that's both a great egg layer and hardy enough to thrive. It really is the best of both worlds.
Okay, this is one of the most brilliant ideas in all of farming, I think. It's called composite fish culture. So instead of just farming one type of fish in a pond, you raise several different species all together. And here's the genius part. They all eat different things. You have the catlaz, they feed up at the surface, the rohus hang out and eat in the middle, and the mriggles and carps are bottom feeders. They literally aren't competing with each other for food at all. You're using every single part of that pond to grow protein. It's just an incredibly efficient system.
And this quote right here, it brings us to what might be the most important point of all. Because all of these innovations, in plants and in animals, they're amazing, but they have to be done right. The real goal is to get more food, sure, but to do it without wrecking the environment in the process.
And that's really the question we're left with, isn't it? The science is there. We absolutely have the knowledge and the tools to feed a growing world. The real challenge, the billion-dollar question, is can we weave all of this together into a system that's truly sustainable, one that can feed us not just for the next few years, but for generations and generations to come. Thanks for watching.
आज की क्लास यहीं समाप्त होती है। उम्मीद है कि आपको सभी बातें स्पष्ट रूप से समझ में आ गई होंगी। फिर मिलते हैं कल एक नए अध्याय और नई सीख के साथ।